What's up, everyone? Happy Monday. Good mic work. Commentaries back at you. Decided to do a Raw review tonight because I didn't do a podcast this weekend, and Raw wasn't half bad tonight. Had some really good wrestling on the show, and of course, it's to go home to the Royal Rumble, which is this Saturday, and there's also a ton of news going on. We got a lot of stuff to get into, so I figured it would be a perfect opportunity to come up here and bust out a podcast, catch up on what we missed this weekend, talk about a lot of wrestling news going around, and we'll give a brief synopsis and recap of Raw tonight, and then preview the Royal Rumble, speculation, surprises, what belts might change, what might not, maybe even, spitball some Wrestlemania stuff too. So should be, just a casual laid back podcast. Probably not going to go very long depending on the audience, but we got some stuff to talk about. So that's what we're going to do. Here's what's kind of on the menu in terms of the news. We're going to talk about the WrestleMania week schedule. WWE announced some information on that today. There's a lot of talk about Ronda Rousey potentially returning to the company, even as early as Saturday at the Royal Rumble. That's kind of interesting. WWE, at least for right now, is denying Mustafa Ali's request for a release. We'll get into that. Sami Zayn re-signed with the company this week. Summer Rae was called a legend on SmackDown, and the fans freaked out. The Iconics were offered a spot in the Royal Rumble, which was interesting. Roman Reigns surpasses 508 days as Universal Champion, setting the record. That's going to be a tough one to break. Bruce Pritchard thinks Vince McMahon is going to run WWE for another 25 to 30 years. A little bit about Dynamite last week. Really good rating came in, and we're going to talk a little bit about Jon Moxley's return and Bully Ray's lovely comments about Moxley and the apology that he feels that Moxley owes the fans. We'll get to Bully Ray later. Also, Leo Rush is on his way out of AEW as of, Valentine's Day, so we will discuss that whole situation. Interesting stuff going on there, and I picked a hell of a night to do a Royal Rumble 1992 watch-along. We were here watching that last night. Unfortunately, I was going head-to-head with one of the best playoff football games we've ever seen and the GCW show, which was in the Hammerstein Ballroom. So a lot of people were watching that. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would have watched the GCW show with you guys instead. But thank you to everyone who was here watching the Royal Rumble 1992 last night. That was a lot of fun. If you'd like to catch that on demand, you can do so. Let me refresh my chat because I can't see anything yet. Okay, you can hear me too. So we'll talk a little bit. I didn't really watch the show, obviously, because I was with you guys last night, the GCW show, I should say. So I caught some of the finishes on YouTube, read the results, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. But I think a lot of people are calling that show a disappointment. So, we'll discuss that as well. And then we will run through Raw tonight. We had the weigh-in between Brock and Bobby and the birthday party for Miz and Maurice kind of bookend this thing. And we had some decent wrestling in the middle. But again, it's your typical Raw. It's a lot of fucking nonsense. But they did come through on a few things tonight, and I thought Chad Gable and Austin Theory had outstanding losing effort matches tonight. So that was a positive in terms of Raw, and you guys can give me all your thoughts on that as we go through here. Please hit the thumbs up button for me if you don't mind before we get started. Also subscribe if you have not yet already. We got a big week. It's Royal Rumble week, so what you can expect out of me this week is, of course, Wednesday. We're going to be here live watching Dynamite together, our weekly Wednesday night Dynamite watch-alongs. Then on Thursday afternoon, we're going to do Royal Rumble predictions. So I will have a link and a time up on that in the next day or two, so keep a lookout on the channel. We'll do Royal Rumble predictions on Thursday. I won't be home to do anything on Friday night after SmackDown or Rampage or anything like that. But Saturday, I was toying with the idea of doing a live reaction to the Royal Rumble, but I think we're going to do a review, only because we're doing a ton of live reactions and watch-alongs right now on the channel. We do classic pay-per-views basically every Sunday, and we're doing Dynamite every Wednesday. So there's really no need for that. I would like to come up and do a review, sit at home, watch it, enjoy it, and then be able to speak on it with notes written and all of that. And I can't really do that if I'm hanging out drinking beer and watching the show with all you guys. So I think it would be better for the channel if I came up and did a review. So I have a podcast recorded on my thoughts of the Royal Rumble. The last few years I've been doing live reactions, so we're going to change it up this year, and I'm just going to do a regular style review on Saturday. Of course, this Sunday, if you lived in the United States, is kind of a big day for football. It's Championship Sunday. The two games, the Final Four, basically, the two games that determine the Super Bowl will be decided on Sunday, so there will be no watch-along this Sunday. Not going to bother going head-to-head with that. The week after, we'll start some WrestleMania watch-alongs. I'll have that link up for you soon, and then the week after that is Super Bowl. We're going to take another one off. But after that, we'll be here every Sunday doing watch-alongs during WrestleMania season. So keep all of that in mind, and like I said, subscribe to the channel so you can be made aware of these upcoming streams. Let me just cruise over here to the chat and say hello to everybody, and then we will start going through the news. Let me refresh again because I feel like I'm stalling on this. There we go. Now I can see everybody. Good to see Rodrigo and Roderick and Tatanani, and Population is in the house. Jay Lambo, Zane, Big J, Emmett, Monique, how wheezy. Right on. Vash and Deshaun is here as well. Sweet. Got Monkey Wrenches, Taylor Moyes, Michael Cuomo. Who else? Nick Musser. Right on. Good little crew in here. Martin is here as well. Sonic Plays, Joshua Steven, and George Morris with the $5 drop. Hey, Greg, how are you doing? How is the Cats doing? How bad was Raw tonight? I didn't watch. Sunny looks unrecognizable. Now very sad. Cobra Kai Season 5. That's a lot of information. First of all, I am doing great. Raw was not that bad tonight. We're going to talk about a few good points of it, but a lot of it was still typical Raw, which largely sucks. But tonight had a couple of bright spots, so we're not going to go too crazy shitting on the show. Yeah, Sunny definitely looks unrecognizable. She's a fucking train wreck. Cobra Kai Season 5, I'm ready for Terry Silver and Chosen, and the Cats are fine. Tito is right next to me, although Bub is behind me. You can't see him. He is zonked out. Very long day for him. Vet visit. He's old. He's 12 and a half. He's got a few problems that we're trying to work out, but luckily we got some encouraging news that this is probably a hump that he can get over. But he had, a couple of things done to him today and procedures. He's not feeling very good. He's sleeping, and he's kind of a little loopy on pain medicine. So keep my man Bub in your thoughts. He's 12 and a half. He ain't going to be here forever, but he's plugging along. So other than that, everybody is fine, George. Thank you. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to do a review tonight because there was a chance that he might have needed some extra treatment. So the fact that wasn't needed, I was able to come up and do a stream. Barry MK is in the house as well as Ronnie Matthews. Right on. All my friends are here. JJ Leg, good to see you, and thank you for the 5. Royal Rumble prediction. Brock and Roman cost each other their titles. I like it. KO wins Men's Rumble. Ronda enters 30, eliminates Bianca to win it. I have got no problem with any of those scenarios. I love Bianca. I don't know how, if Rousey gets in the way. If Rousey wasn't a factor, I don't know how you don't do Bianca and Becky at WrestleMania. Like, that seems to be the way the direction was going from the minute Becky pinned her at SummerSlam. So to deviate from that would have to take something major, and Ronda would be that something major. It's almost just because of the climate of the wrestling fans. I put on Twitter today when people were talking about Ronda Rousey, we're going to talk about this in a minute. I'm like, she doesn't owe us anything. She worked her ass off, did a great job, transitioned seamlessly from actual combat to professional wrestling as well as anybody has, including Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar and guys like that. And the fans, of course, didn't appreciate her and didn't appreciate the hard work, and she doesn't owe us shit. If she never came back, I'd be fine with it because I don't blame her for not wanting to swim in this soup that we swim in here. But if she does come back to fulfill whatever contractual stuff she might have left, come back as an attraction, to work some big pay-per-view matches, I think it could be good. But if she came in and eliminated Bianca, the fans would be like, oh, she's coming in. You know how they are. They're going to immediately just go right to, the Smark handbook and just go right to page 1. Oh, she's taking a spot from somebody else type of thing. When no, she brings in money. Ronda's awesome. So I miss her and want to see her back. Don't want to see anything happen to Bianca, but at the same time, you got to bring Ronda back and bring her back in a big way. And we were supposed to get Becky and Ronda one-on-one. We never got that. I'm sure WWE would like to come and get that back. So I think that's a likely option, JJ. You might be right. Who else is here? Mr. E and Jet and Kevin and Ben Forbes is in the house. Sam, WWE fan. Christian Yachiro, right on. Mike, did I get you already? Probably got everything. My chat is acting a little funny, so no, it's coming through. All right, I think we're good. It's just being You know how computers are. They're weird. Anyway, keep smashing the thumbs up button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's get into wrestling news. Normally, we take care of this shit on the Winged Eagle podcast, but I haven't been consistently doing those on Saturdays lately just because of my busy schedule and stuff. So we kind of have to knock these news, segments out whenever we can. So whenever I do a Raw review, it's a good opportunity to do that. So we got a lot to get into. So today, WWE released just a brief article on Wrestlemania week. So they basically confirmed what we kind of suspected is that it is going to be a full WrestleMania week like they used to do back in the day. So we're going to get a takeover, we're going to get a Hall of Fame, and of course we're going to get night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania coupled with the big Access event that they have, I'm sure, and all of the other WrestleMania festivities. Now, what was interesting about that is they said that all of these things would be taking place in the city of Dallas, which means NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver ain't going to be at the PC. It's going to be in a venue. So what venue is it going to be at? Is it going to be where the Dallas Mavericks play? Is it going to be in an arena that size? I don't know if they can do any ticket sale. I don't think they can sell that out the way the Black and Gold may have been able to do. So I'd be curious where exactly that takeover is going to take place and what kind of crowd they're going to draw for that. But when you think about WrestleMania now being on 2 nights and SmackDown being on Friday night, what is the order of events here? Is TakeOver going to be on Tuesday, like on TV, or is it going to be on Peacock? I don't really know that. So you could just do TakeOver on Tuesday in the regular NXT time slot. You got Dynamite on Wednesday night, unless WWE wants to run the Hall of Fame head-to-head with that. But they might run the Hall of Fame Thursday, which is probably smart. And then Friday, we've got SmackDown, and then Saturday, Sunday, WrestleMania, unless they move SmackDown around. Last year, they did not. What happened last year? They had regular SmackDown in the Thunderdome the night before night 1, right? I'm assuming. So it might have been taped. It is possible that it was taped. So they might can that. Who knows? But if it does turn out to be that way, think about that week for a wrestling fan. I'm going to take the whole damn week off. It's going to be Monday Raw, Tuesday TakeOver, Wednesday Dynamite, Thursday Hall of Fame, Friday SmackDown and Rampage, Saturday, Sunday WrestleMania, night 1 and 2. Could be fun. Going to be doing 7 or 8 streams in a row right here on this channel come April. So looks like all that stuff is coming to WrestleMania week, and should be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I'm assuming it's going to be, I feel like the Raw Women's title will main event night 1, and the Universal title will main event night 2. That's the way it feels like to me, unless Roman drops that Universal title. But if Roman is Universal Champion going into WrestleMania, how does he not main event night 2? Feels like he has to. So we'll see how that all goes. I mentioned Ronda Rousey a minute ago. A lot of chatter about Ronda Rousey today, potentially coming back to the WWE, and WWE has been pushing for a Ronda Rousey return. Now, I believe she gave birth just back in September, so that would be a hell of a turnaround for her to get her into shape. Apparently, she is training. Now, this was all kind of credence was given to this by Fightful, by The Observer, Andrew Zarian, all weighed in on this issue and all pretty much confirmed that there is interest in bringing Rousey back, and most expect her to be back at some point, whether it's here at the Royal Rumble. Some are, like Brian Alvarez, are going as far as saying she is going to be a guest or a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, and some are basically just saying she's going to come back at some point, and when she does, it likely wouldn't be full-time. It'll probably be more of like a Brock Lesnar type schedule, which is, honestly fine, because she is an attraction. And I applauded her work when she was there. She came in full-time, wrestling matches on Raw. She was not working the Brock schedule. She was working live events. She was in it, and I was there. I was in the audience at Survivor Series when she wrestled Charlotte. Charlotte, the most hated woman in wrestling. And all of a sudden, these morons just out of the blue just switch halfway through the match. And now all of a sudden, they are cheering for Charlotte and booing Rousey. And I'll never forget sitting in my seat, and they had her up on the screen as she's leaving. And I'm sure you saw it on TV too, but as she's walking up the aisleway, she's looking at the fans like, what the fuck? Like, I just got wore out with this kendo stick. She's got welts and bruises and blood all over her, had the match of her life, and just, really a dream match, really, between Rousey and Charlotte that wasn't even supposed to happen because Becky Lynch got popped in the face. And that kind of put and set Ronda on that kind of heel path that she was on. But I feel like she just felt that just killed it for her that night. She's like, why am I going to break my back for these assholes? You know what I mean? So I don't think that she owes, based on the way the fans treated her, because I just appreciated somebody coming in from a sport like that. Like we talked about this couple of podcasts ago, real fighters aren't very good at pro wrestling. It's really hard to train yourself to not beat the shit out of each other or of someone else. So when you think about like Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar and how easily they transitioned into wrestling, that was basically seamless, and they just fit into wrestling like a glove. Ronda was the female version of that. She was the women's version of what Kurt Angle or Brock Lesnar did, in my opinion. And I used to always say that about her whenever we talked about her here on the podcast. So I would love, love, love to have her back. And I think she'd be a great boost just to the buzz in the women's division in general or whatnot. And you can get a couple of really fun matches with her and, some of the other women, especially Becky. So if that turns out to happen, I will be happy as ever. Although for me personally, she doesn't have to return for me. She could stay away and be gone forever, and I'd be perfectly fine and respect it. But, if she comes back, that will be great because I'm a Ronda fan. The only thing that I worry about is what I remember about her before is you have a whole bunch of fans that don't know what they're talking about, having these asinine opinions about her, and it's not mind-numbing. It's like, how can people be this damn dumb? But this is the universe we're in, guys. So prepare for more of the same, especially if what JJ said comes true and Rousey turns up in that Rumble and chucks Bianca over the top rope. Twitter will have a problem with that. So anyway, keep our eye on Ronda Rousey. We might see her on Saturday. We'll see. Mustafa Ali, we talked about him last week because he announced on social media that he has officially requested his release from WWE. More news came out on that throughout last week about creative pitches, creative ideas, and even a potential argument that might have went down between Ali and Vince McMahon that kind of led to his departure. Now, we saw that dropped angle that was filmed with Ali, cutting the speech, the you people thing, very Vince McMahon type of angle for what he perceives as a foreigner or whatever, where he's just going to go out and spew this nonsense. Vince, you can really see his fingerprints on shit like that. And that seemed like that's the direction they were going. And I remember not liking that. I'm like, that seemed like not Muhammad Ali. What's his name? Muhammad Hassan. It seemed like in the light of that, not quite the same, but that type of thing where he's just going to be, it's just going to be this national fucking political thing or whatever. It just didn't strike any chords with me. And I'm glad that never saw the light of day on TV. But then apparently there was something else that Vince wanted to do that Ali just found ridiculous. And that's maybe what led to him saying, F this, I want out. Well, it also was reported this week that WWE has denied him his release. They are not giving it to him, at least for right now. Both sides spoke and they informed him that at least right now they're not going to be giving him his release. There could be a million different reasons for that. I think these assholes should just let him go. They look like huge dicks when they're going to hold somebody hostage when they've done all of these budget cuts, especially somebody like Ali, who the company wouldn't even notice if he was gone. They treated him like dog shit. Every time they tried something, they followed through with nothing. And he seems he has way more potential than what they were ever going to give him. So if he were to leave and go somewhere else, it wouldn't harm their business in any way. So why would they keep him around? Maybe they don't want to set a precedent. Maybe they don't want to say, okay, we don't want the talent thinking that they can just come and ask for their release and we're going to give it to them, even though they should. But WWE doesn't want probably the talent thinking that it's that easy, because if they know that, you can bet that anybody else that's just like, God, I wish these assholes would cut me, might just say, hey, if I want out, I can just go ask and they'll probably give it to me. So maybe they want to keep them around long enough to where the talent doesn't feel like they're going to get an automatic release, unconditional release or whatever. So maybe that's it. Maybe they're going to let a little bit of time pass. I don't know how many months went by after Luke Harper asked for his release. Did FTR ask for it too, or they just were saying they weren't going to resign? But they've held people hostage before. Luke Harper just is the one that tends to come to mind right now. So they held poor Brody there for better part of a year, I would say, before finally just succumbing and letting him go. But that was pre-pandemic. So maybe here in just a month, maybe in 2 months, they will decide just to let him go, but they're not going to roll over that easy type of thing. They're just maybe making a statement or, making it known that they have the control or whatnot. So there's been the Free Ali hashtag floating around Twitter, and apparently the WWE on Fox Twitter page has been blocking people using the hashtag. I have not been blocked yet. I don't think I've even used the hashtag, but they've been blocking accounts that have been doing that. And Ali apparently blocked them. So he's blocked the WWE account, or at least the WWE on Fox account. I'm not sure about the actual WWE account, but you have to wonder how much frustration is going on there. If, Ali understands how tense is everything, did WWE inform him that they can't grant him the release, but hang tight? And maybe he's like, okay, but, better do something soon. Maybe they want to entice him back. Maybe they want to set up a meeting with Vince. I mean, would Vince care this much, to sit this guy down and change his mind to stay with the company? It's not like it's 1996 Shawn Michaels. This is 2021 Ali. The company be fine without him, and it sounds like he'd be a hell of a lot happier without the company. It says we're well. So sounds like Ali would be much better off without the company. He wants the hell out of there, and I really hope that that they eventually grant it, and I'm not going to freak out too much yet about what they're doing. It might just take some time for this all to play out. But if they keep him around, which I believe there's a lot of time left on his contract, so they might, like I said, I think they just want to make him wait for a while. It's basically like they are being dicks, is really all it is. They're probably going to give him a release. They just don't want to do it immediately when he asks for it, and drag it out and, try to send whatever message it is that they are trying to send doing that. So hopefully he gets what he wants, whatever he gets. Even if they entice him to come back and he's cool with that and wants to come back and give it another go, as long as he's happy, hell, we're happy on this channel. So best of luck to Ali, and hopefully he can spread his wings one day outside of that miserable ass company. Sam, speaking of people leaving or staying with WWE, Sami Zayn is going to stay with WWE. He has re-signed with the company for a multi-year deal, and I'm happy for him. He even tweeted out that he's doing what Sami Zayn wants and doing what makes him happy, and that's all I care about. He's hilarious on TV. He's in an angle right now with Johnny Knoxville. He's done stuff recently on TV with Brock Lesnar, even though there's been plenty of times in Sami Zayn's WWE career where we all felt like he could have been treated better. I've always been of the opinion that not everybody can be world champion, even if they're perfectly capable and worthy. And Sami Zayn is one of those guys where, I think he's in a really good spot. I don't think he's going to be beating Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 40 in the main event. I just don't see it. But he's a guy with a shit ton of charisma. He's a great professional wrestling personality. He is very good in the ring. He can be, he can definitely be a contender for IC and US titles and even get occasional world title shots and maybe even a quick run with one. But in terms of being like the guy, never. But Sami Zayn can always be on TV, and he can always be doing entertaining shit, and they always trust him in big situations where you need somebody to come through, at least, in a comedic timing level, or somebody that just does not look like they're acting so much. And he brings all of that. So every time Sami Zayn is in a segment these days, I'm loving it. He's come a long way from the fucking obstacle course with Bobby Lashley and all that stuff that they did with him when he came back. So seeing Sami evolve into what he has, to the point where he's happy enough there to re-sign with them long-term, because look, I've said this a lot of times, the grass is greener in AEW for a lot of talent, but it's also not greener for a lot of talent. Think about Sami Zayn and what he's doing on SmackDown right now, interacting with Brock and Knoxville, and he's going to have a big deal in the right. Even if he gets tossed out by Knoxville, he's going to have a memorable moment. It's going to be something that he's going to be remembered for. If he went into AEW, he is a guy that might get a little bit lost in there. So he's probably better off just staying where he is, and glad he's sticking around because we're huge Sami Zayn fans on this channel. I never got a chance to watch SmackDown or Rampage this last week. Caught a couple of clips on YouTube, saw a little bit of Roman Reigns' 508-day celebration and a couple of the clips from Rampage, but largely I missed it. But apparently Summer Rae was in the audience, and WWE, of course, she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. They've called her back to be in it, and WWE referred to her as a legend. Says that Summer Rae is a legend, and Twitter completely freaked out about it. What? She's not a legend. What the fuck? Okay, guys, of course, we know that. She's not fucking Bruno Sammartino, but it's just WWE's language. They call their wrestlers superstars, even though they're not fucking superstars. I don't know why they insist on calling them that, but they do. And anybody who used to be in the WWE who comes back is just referred to as a legend. You don't have to worry too much. It's mostly just a figure of speech than actually defining the person. It's how WWE refers to its stars. Present, you're a superstar. Past, you're a legend. Plain and simple. So we've seen, I just laughed because of all of the ridiculous shit that WWE says pretty much on an hourly basis. This is what upset the fans. They put the Bellas in the Hall of Fame last year. So what does that tell you? This company are idiots. So I think that when it comes to something like that, you're wasting your breath freaking out because stuff like that is never going to change. They're always going to do stuff like that. And you just got to, by now, I just think we should all understand like kind of how WWE is. And for Summer Rae, she handled it like a champ. She even, put a video up on social media. He's like, I don't make the rules, assholes. Like, I didn't, they called me a legend. You guys are freaking out, sending me all sorts of hate. I think that's a big waste of time because you're projecting your anger on WWE at Summer Rae, who had nothing to fucking do with it. All she did was pick up the phone. Hey, you want to come back and be in the Royal Rumble? Sure, why not? And WWE calls her a legend, and then the fans start attacking her. It's idiotic behavior, absolutely idiotic behavior. Summer Rae being called a legend is not the end of the world. I think if you had a normal, regular, everyday life where you woke up, dressed yourself, spoke English, shit like that, none of this stuff should bother you. So Summer Rae being called a legend, big deal. Is she a legend? Of course not. But in WWE's mind is not reality. So you just have to understand that. And relax a little bit. The Royal Rumble, even with Summer Rae in it, and Ronda Rousey potentially, apparently is short. They don't have enough. I don't think they got enough women to fill this thing out quite yet. And Peyton Royce and Billie Kay, the formerly Iconics, who are now the Inspiration, Jessica and whatever the fuck her name is, they were contacted and offered spots to come back in the Royal Rumble. And to their credit, they turned them down. I love to hear that because they were two releases that surprised me. I wasn't a huge Iconics fan, but they were Billie Kay was starting to grow on me with the joking me thing. I mean, they're both just hugely annoying, don't get me wrong. But, I thought they worked hard and I thought they had a good attitude. And WWE tried to put them in TV situations and they always came through, their personalities, and they had a good amount of charisma. They could both talk a little bit. And, Peyton worked hard and improved in the ring. She's got a wrestler boyfriend or husband or whatever. And plus they were kind of new and young. And I just thought they had way more time in there. I was surprised that they got let go. So I'm glad that they have landed on their feet, found jobs in Impact. And even though apparently Impact would have gladly let them appear in the Rumble, they didn't want to. So I think that's awesome for both of them. And best of luck to you. You don't need to come in. What are they going to do? Come into the Royal Rumble, be in there for 1 minute and get dumped out? We're going to talk about that later on when we get into Raw about what a waste WWE is. I mean, they're starting to revert back a little bit to those diva match days of being 2 or 3 minutes long. We had a 6-woman tag on Raw tonight that went like 3 minutes. There were 6 women in that ring. That's a grand total of about 12 hours of hair and makeup for all those women to go out there and wrestle for 3 minutes. That's crazy. So if the Iconics, they'd get a payday, but you get on a plane, you travel all the way there, you fucking go to the arena at noon that day, you spend 12 fucking hours there, you're in hair and makeup all day, you're in rehearsals, you're doing photo shoots and all that, and then when it's time for you to do your thing, you're in there 45 seconds, and Bianca Belair throws you out. It's like, Jesus, man, what's even the point? So I'm glad. I'm glad that they turned him down. I think that's awesome. Like I said a minute ago, I didn't really catch SmackDown, but I saw a little bit of the Roman Reigns stuff, 508 days, at least as of Friday, as the Universal Champion. That is the new record. And when you think about it, I mean, hit me with it in the chat. How can that record be broken? Who can you envision, that's going to have another run of a year and a half? That's tough to do. That's a Brock or Roman type of run. AJ, is the closest thing we had to that, where he was, maybe not somebody on that super mega star level, but still had a long title run. I can't see I think this record that Roman has now, whatever it winds up being, whether he drops it at the Rumble or he drops it at WrestleMania or whatever, whenever this run ends, I personally think it stands for a decade in my mind. I don't think anybody's going to surpass the Universal Championship run of that, at least for a decade. That's my opinion or my prediction. So let's see if that comes true or not, if ever. I just think that's an incredible feat in today's day and age when, I mean, anytime a champ. I was happy when AJ held his title for so long because anytime that you can have a lengthy title run as fast as the business moves now, I'm usually going to be in pretty heavy support of it. So Roman has been champ for a long time. We'll see. Let me know. Does he drop it at Rumble? Does he drop it at Mania? Does he drop it at neither? So what happens? I like the idea of both guys costing each other the titles and they both walk out of there beltless. That could be interesting too. Apparently, Bruce Pritchard on the latest Something to Wrestle was asked by Conrad about Vince McMahon and how long he thinks Vince McMahon is going to continue to run WWE. And Bruce, almost in, I don't know if it's complete company mode or fucking denial or delusion or whatever. I understand Vince McMahon is a freak, but this claim of Bruce that he says that he can't envision Vince McMahon slowing down at all and he should be in charge of WWE for the next 25 to 30 years. 30 years would make Vince McMahon 106 years old. Now, Vince McMahon has a 101-year-old mother that is still alive. So, and he's a freak of nature. He sleeps 2 hours a day. He's a goddamn android. He lifts weights and, and works out, and he's crazy healthy, and he's just got an incredible just drive and motivation. And there's no one on planet Earth like him. So if anybody can, make it into their 90s and still have their fucking faculties, it's probably Vince, but I'm not really sure if he does have his faculties. In terms of his body health, he's probably in tremendous health. But I think 25 years is pushing it. If he stays there for 25 years, that would make me 70 years old. Almost. That's unacceptable. I cannot make it into my 70s with Vince McMahon still in charge. I won't even make it that long. I'll keel over just out of sheer boredom. I'll keel over and die with Vince in charge. So let's hope that Pritchard is as dumb as he sounds and Vince will not still be running the company in a quarter century. That's ridiculous. But funny. We want to backtrack a little bit to this past week's Dynamite. Pulled in a great rating. I think they kept it over 1 million viewers. So it looks like the move to TBS was a positive thing. I thought in time it would be a positive thing, but they'd see a dip in the numbers first. 2 months, numbers are going to be 100,000, 200,000 lower than the average, and then they'll gradually, get over the hump and start getting back to what they normally have. But the ratings have arguably been kind of, on average, higher on TBS than TNT. I'm not aware of how many more homes TBS is in than TNT, but I've had some sort of a cable service in my house for the last 30 years, and I've never had one and not the other. So I don't know who these people are that only have TBS and not TNT, but apparently they're out there somewhere. So they're doing well. Now, the big news of this past week was the opening of Dynamite when Jon Moxley came back. Now, Jon Moxley has been off doing the rehab for his alcohol treatment that he was very open about, and AEW announced his return for Wednesday. He opened the show just to come out and cut a promo, and it was unbelievable how he looked when he came out to Wild Thing, and he comes through the crowd there, and I'm like, he looks like Dean Ambrose. He just looks so much clearer, so much fresher, so much leaner. Alcohol adds a lot of weight. And there was that side, I don't know who to credit. I can't remember who put this up, so I apologize for the credit, but there was a side-by-side picture floating around. You guys probably saw it on social media with Moxley, like one of the last promos he cut before he took time off, and him coming out. They look like two completely different people. Moxley's face was so swollen, so puffed up, so red, and you could see it in him, And then he comes out, on Wednesday, and he's just got this clear look. His eyes are wide open. They're not squished shut. He can see. He just looked incredible. He looked younger and happier and clearer. And it's really a great illustration of how gnarly drinking can be on your body and what a toll it can take and how old it can really make you look. And I've seen it in my own family, and with my immediate family, some of them, or a couple of them. So the effects of that is unbelievable. So Moxley coming out and looking so good, I think really pleased the fans because that means it was, at least the treatment was a success, and he's got, Now he's kind of got himself straight. So he comes to the ring seemingly just to cut a promo. Before he can even speak, some douchebag in the audience yells out, "Get this piece of trash out of the ring," or whatever he said. It was horrible. And Moxley gets on the mic and tells the fan, go fuck himself, and tells them to throw that guy out. Or he says, "Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit." That's what he said on TBS. Got an F-bomb in the first 3 minutes of the show, and then he went on to say shit 3 times in his promo. So him just telling that fan to go fuck himself was pretty great. Very heartfelt promo by Moxley, which I like because he's being honest. And I think with a guy like Moxley, we talked about this last week, if his situation can help maybe inspire or motivate someone else to maybe deal with their own problems, I really like that he's using his, wrestling celebrity status to be able to, be upfront about everything. He didn't have to say shit. He had to tell Tony Khan, and they could have just pretended he had an injury or whatever. He didn't have to divulge anything to us if he didn't want. But he chose to be honest, he chose to be upfront, and he chose to just lay everything out there, which I commend him for. So it's funny that Wwe Raw, on his podcast on Busted Open Radio, says, after talking about the Moxley situation, he said nice things about Mox too, about, I liked what he said, and he looked good and that sort of thing, and props to him for taking care of it. But then he has to ruin it by saying, "But I would have appreciated it if Moxley apologized to the fans for letting them down. Apologized to the fans that might have bought a ticket expecting to see Moxley, but he wasn't there because he was dealing with his issues." I think Moxley owed the fans an apology. Are you out of your fucking stuttering mind, Wwe Raw? You can go fuck yourself. That is an asinine thing to say and absolutely ridiculous. If you want to talk about, he basically said Moxley should have had accountability, is basically what he said. And that blew my mind, because what the fuck do you think Moxley was doing? That is accountability. He's owning up. He's telling everybody. His life is an open book. He's being perfectly honest about what's going on with him, why he has to leave, where he's going. And when he got back, he told us how it went and what his future plans are. He did not have to divulge any of this. He doesn't owe this group of assholes that we call wrestling fans, he owes us nothing. But he gave it to us anyway, because he's trying to be honest. He's trying to be upfront. And you think he owes us an apology? I know fans are assholes, but I would really hope nobody would be pissed. I bought a ticket and Moxley wasn't there because he was dealing with his alcohol thing or whatever. I would have not given a shit. Moxley, you get yourself right. You come back to wrestling when you're damn good and ready. Don't worry about us. We got 2,000 other wrestlers to fucking watch while you're gone. It's not a big deal. So for Wwe Raw to suggest that Moxley should apologize for something that so many wrestlers of the previous generation were too fucking stupid to do. And I ask you this question, Wwe Raw. How many of your dead friends do you think would be here right now if they had the courage to do the same thing that Jon Moxley did? If they would have sought out help? I know it's a different time now, and help is a little bit easier to come by than maybe the previous generation, but there was a whole lot of bad decisions going around in your generation and the generation prior. Whole lot of bad behavior. A lot shittier things were going down than what Moxley did. What Moxley did, I think people can commend him for. What Moxley did was recognizing he has a problem and dealing with it. How many wrestlers of the last generation, of the past generation, didn't recognize their problem, or were in denial about the problem, or didn't give a shit, and we're just going to keep on partying, living in the life, and if they die young, so be it, type of thing. It's a different generation now. So for Wwe Raw to even suggest that is jaw-dropping to me, because he has so many of his peers and friends that are no longer with us that could be here if they would have had the same mentality as someone like Jon Moxley. Many of them could be here now if they recognized that they had a problem like Moxley did, especially the ones with kids. Moxley took all that into account. I got a wife and a baby at home, and I'm acting like this. I'm falling asleep on planes and waking up not knowing what city I'm in is bullshit. I got to get myself help. It took a long time for Shawn Michaels to realize that too. And it took his kid to set him straight. Mike Bennett, I think, with Maria's pregnancy, kind of got him in order. But Sean has a story about falling asleep, pilled out with his son on his chest and just completely out of it. And, that was when his wife kind of gave him some shit. And then he said, that's it. I'm done cleaning my life up. So sometimes it takes something like that, having a child, having a family, whatever it is, to push you in that right direction. Moxley had that, and he had the courage to do that. And he got support from everybody. To criticize that in any way is probably one of the most douchebag fucking things anybody can say. And I know Wwe Raw loves the heat. He's probably just doing it for more people to listen to his podcast anyway. And to be fair, when you listen to everything he said, he was complimentary towards Moxley. He wasn't shitting on him. But just to say that was pretty surprising. And it's probably one of the worst takes I've seen this decade. We're only 2 years in, and there's 10,000 shitty takes every minute on Twitter. But this one might take the cake. Jesus. And it wasn't on Twitter. It was on his podcast. But you get my drift. Wwe Raw, stop talking. Just stop. Stop fucking talking. Anyway, moving on. Lio Rush, speaking of AEW, we're going to stay with them. Lio Rush apparently is gone from the company, or is about to be gone from the company. He announced that his contract is expiring on February 14th. This sparked a lot of chatter because the timing of this is weird. It was only a couple of weeks ago, it was the end of the year, it was New Year's Eve, right? When Tony Khan tweeted out that now famous tweet regarding Big Swole and her AEW departure. And she was outspoken about some of the problems she was having with AEW and maybe the lack of diversity or opportunities or whatnot. And Tony Khan tweets out on December 31st that her wrestling wasn't good enough, and don't forget to tune in to Rampage tonight, or whatever he said. And Lio Rush got really pissed. He even said, I was watching all this unfold on Twitter. I was sitting in my car about to go into work, and I'm watching all this happen, and Lio Rush is like, I'm fucking pissed. And he demands on social media, he demands an apology from his boss on social media publicly. I don't really think that's the best idea. I understand that Lio was upset with Tony Khan. Tony Khan deserved to be dragged for what he said, but I'm not sure if I would have gone in that direction unless you're some untouchable person on the roster or something that could maybe say that. But, people got to understand too, even though Tony Khan was in the wrong, I don't think that was really the correct way for Lio to handle that. He probably should have waited till TV and said, hey, Tony, can I talk to you? Look, man, I don't not like what you said or what you, because, Leo's outspoken and he's young and he's just going to say shit all the time. But I think it would have been probably better if Lio took the high ground, because it's really weird to see a billionaire kind of take the low road there. That was not a cool thing for Tony Khan to say. So for Lio Rush just to go do the same thing and then demand an apology from your billionaire boss, probably, not the best idea. However, I doubt, and I'm not really sure if any of this has anything to do with his departure at all, because Lio Rush bounces around. He said so, and he had an interview with Fightful a while back where he says, I like to go other places, work New Japan, work the indies. He is a true, real independent contractor. And he doesn't seem like a guy that sticks around in one place for very long. He wasn't in WWE long. He's bounced around and worked all sorts of different. I see his name advertised on indie events all the time. All the time. He's all over the place. He's everywhere. And he seems like he can always get booked, make a good living, and he doesn't want to nail himself down to one place. So I think that has more to do with it than the Big Swole stuff. I think the Big Swole stuff was probably ill-advised for both Tony and Lio Rush. They probably both should have kept their mouth shut about that. But I'm not totally sold on that being what's going on here. But you do have to think about Tony Khan too. He is a very successful businessman with a lot of money. He's the head of that company. He doesn't seem like he's as intense as Vince McMahon, but you don't think somebody like that has got an ego at some point? I mean, even if you're like kind of a humble guy, or if you come off that way, if you got $1 billion, you're going to have some sort of an ego, and you are not going to let somebody talk to you like that. Even if you're in the wrong. Tony Khan is completely in the wrong, and he deserved to be called out. But if I'm wrong, if I'm Tony Khan and I'm wrong in that situation, and Lio Rush calls me out, on social media, I will put a stop to that and let him know that you cannot do that to me. Even if I did something stupid, like I'm your boss. So it's weird. But I think Lio Rush and AEW, if I had to guess, are probably on good terms, because after that Big Swole stuff went down, Lio Rush tweeted out how happy he was to work for Tony Khan, and they might have had a chat and they smoothed things over or whatnot. I think this might have more to do with Lio just kind of being a guy that bounces around a lot and doesn't like to sign anything long term. So I think it's possible that we might see him turn back up in AEW, but they've removed him out of the Team Taz and Dante Martin stuff, and so he's kind of gone from that. And according to him, on Valentine's Day, February 14th, he will be officially free of AEW, which is a very strange. I don't know when he signed his contract. A lot of people are laughing at. If you look at his debut to when it's ending, it's like a 4-month and 19-day long contract. Very bizarre amount of days and numbers. So it's probably more of a short-term deal, and we just don't know the exact dates on it is probably what's going on. But in 2022, there's going to be a lot of talent, I think, exiting AEW because a lot of that startup talent, a lot of the people that they brought in, a lot of those contracts are starting to expire. And now that the free agent field is so much richer with so much better talent, you can expect to see a lot of these contracts expire. Now, unfortunately, fans are just probably chomping at the bit to wait for AEW to release somebody. So, see, they release people too, not understanding that you can't just keep filling up your pool. Eventually, you got to drain a little bit of water out. So there are some talents like Marco Stunt, like Joey Janela, like Peter Avalon. I think he's already gone. Marco Stunt feels like he's gone. They've really moved him away from, he hasn't really been out there with Jungle Boy or Luchasaurus in quite a while. Janela worked last night, and he's all over the place on the indie scene, but it's not totally guaranteed that his contract will be renewed. And guys like Brian Cage, who's been absent since October, I think you're going to see AEW shed some of these, undercard pieces of talent that aren't really being used, and that's really the best thing to do. It's not like what WWE's doing, where they are firing 60 wrestlers at a time in the middle of their contracts. And I'm worried that when people start leaving AEW, they're gonna use that as ammunition in their stupid war, because they have their wrestling Twitter is just a sea of false equivalencies. So they're gonna compare this to what WWE's doing, even though it's not the same thing at all, not even close. So for AEW to at least let these contracts run up, and then just not bring them up for expiration, you can't really blame them for that. When they're releasing 36 people middle of their contracts, then come talk to me. But in terms of AEW shedding a little bit of talent here and there, expect to see that consistently for every year that they're around. It's never going to stop. You'll see cuts in 2022 or releases or contract expirations. You'll see them in 24 or 23, 24, 25, and so on. Every year that AEW is in business as a successful American promotion, you are going to see people leave. It does not make them exactly like WWE. So just want to plant that flag there before the fans start saying it, because they're gonna. So save that clip and play it for them when they start doing that shit later this year. But in terms of a lot of that other talent leaving, hit me with your ideas. Who do you think else could maybe be on their way out the door? I don't really like to speculate on that stuff, but it's also with a few pieces of talent, it's kind of obvious, who's going to be leaving. And a lot of that, like I said, that 2019, startup talent, before WWE started releasing, half the damn wrestling universe into the ocean. That's, a lot of those talents or a lot of those contracts, I think, are going to be allowed to expire. And then AEW is not above paying people per appearance or short-term deals, obviously, like they have with Lio Rush and other people. So I like that about AEW, is that they are more prone to that. Hopefully that will continue even when their talent roster grows with really good established talent. I'm hoping that they still will allow for some maybe indie talent to come in and work 3-month deals or whatever, or even a lot of these people that are under contract that expire can still come in and work periodically through the company on a per deal basis or something. So no idea how their business model is really set up, but you can bet in 2022, people are going to be leaving, and that's going to start the ball rolling. Every year we will see people depart AEW. That's just the way it is. You're going to see people depart WWE too. When WCW was around, go back and look through magazines, look through the 90s, 91, 92, 93, 94, 96, and so on. Look at how many people left each company every year. It's not different. WCW let people go. WWE let people go. Brought in new people. It's always what happens. So ECW did the same thing. Any wrestling promotion does this. So I'm just not looking forward to the fans thinking that it's a different situation in AEW when it's not. It's the exact same fucking thing. Just what happens. Companies have to do this. So anywho, that's that on Lio Rush. The only other thing I want to get into real quick before we start talking about Raw was last night's GCW show from the Hammerstein Ballroom. Like I said, we were up here watching the Royal Rumble 1992 while the greatest goddamn playoff football game I've ever watched in my life was on the TV over here, and the GCW show was going on and people were tweeting about that. I picked a bad night to watch Royal Rumble 1992 last night, but if you were here watching it with me, thanks for being here. It was a lot of fun, and we did not put our cigarette out, no matter what Mean Gene said. But like I said, I didn't see the show. It was only $25 on Fight TV. Next time they have one of these shows, I should buy it because I'm curious now. I've seen some of their stuff. It's hard to ignore them. I'm not really that educated in their product, although I've seen the Nick Cage stuff and the Matt Cardona stuff and some of the shit that they've done. And I've seen a couple of the Moxley matches there. And it seems like they have a really good vibe. It seems like a fun atmosphere where, you know, it's a wild night of wrestling, and it's more an adult product, a lot of blood type of thing. And they booked Hammerstein, which is of course, you know, famous venue that ECW ran for so many years. That's where One Night Stand was. And there was even if a Cardona wins, we riot sign. Now, according to the fans, the show was basically the gist of it that I got from most people. It seemed like they would, and tell me if you agree, they said that it was worth the $25, but also kind of a disappointment in terms of Hammerstein. Now, I think there's a law in New York you can't bleed, and GCW is known for a lot, and I mean a lot of blood. So the fact that they didn't get that last night, at least to the best of my knowledge, maybe disappointed some fans. I know they had issues with the main event running short on time because they had to be off. You know, they had no overrun or something. They had a finite amount of time they could use. So I think Moxley and Homicide ended kind of flat. Nobody said anything good about the match, and it was cut short, I guess, in time to give Nick Cage a chance to cut his promo. But some of the undercard matches were interesting. Now, Matt Cardona and Joey Janela was probably the craziest because it went on forever. A lot of fans have thought the match was overbooked, maybe went on a little bit too long, but they brought out Brian Myers, you know, like Edge did at One Night Stand when he came out and helped Rob Van Dam beat John Cena. Kind of did the same thing, I guess, with Myers. So that was probably pretty cool for Cardona and him to be together in that situation. But people did complain about that match, and I think everything Matt Cardona has done in GCW so far has been a huge hit because he's really been able to tap into that indie audience and that indie hate, and, you know, play a great role there. But I guess this one fell a little bit flat. Ruby Soho picked up a win, so that's good for AEW. Blake Christian, I believe, is he Cora Jade's boyfriend? I think. He defeated Lio Rush, so Lio Rush was on the show. And Jeff Jarrett, out there dressed like the Shield, defeated Effie. Hit him with that finish I saw was great. He hit him with the guitar shot, but then Effie bumps. He falls like face first and lands on the guitar. Looked sick, and Jeff Jarrett got the win. So overall, if I would have slapped down $25, based on what I read and the clips I saw, it would have been worth it to me. But largely, I think what people have known GCW for last night, to them, I think felt like a letdown, because there was also probably a lot of new eyes. I saw people on Twitter that I've never seen comment on GCW before saying, like, I think I'm going to check this show out tonight. Should be good. Looks fun. The card looks stacked. A lot of people were checking out their product for the first time, which sucks that they didn't come through the way they probably really wanted to keep those new eyeballs. There might be some new eyeballs last night that said, okay, I saw it, probably won't check that out again, which sucks. But they're kind of the talk of the indie world, and they put on some fun shows. Last night apparently just wasn't one of them. So anywho, that happened last night. And that pretty much wraps it up for all the news and stuff I wanted to discuss here. Just wanted to run through some of the stuff I missed this week. We'll start running through the Raw results real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. But first, I'm going to the chat and knocking out these super chats that might have ran through while I was flapping. Deshaun Robinson, thanks, dude, for the $2. I'm convinced Vince is a Terminator. I think you might be right. Something ain't right with Vince. Although, if there's any robot in WWE right now, it's Montez Ford. You see that dive he did tonight over the top rope? Like, how is WWE trying to pretend this guy's a human being when he's clearly, you know, a sophisticated space athlete android from the future or something? The dude is nuts. But you're probably right about that, Deshaun. Rodrigo Martinez, thank you, man, for the $2. Is Sonny Kiss next to let go from AEW? Don't know. Don't know the deal with Sonny's contract, if they'll let his run out or whatever, but I'm not sure. He was doing there. The thing with Sonny and Janela was going on, so I don't know what happened there. But yeah, there's a lot of names like that I could think of on that undercard that were maybe there at the start and worked a lot of dark event and elevation, but don't get a ton of Dynamite time, and we don't see them very often. And they might be under an early deal to help fill out the roster during the early days. Those are the contracts I'd be looking for to be allowed to expire in my mind. So we'll see how that goes as we move into 2022. Anywho, let me get to Raw. Man, this is some of the lowest like counts I've ever seen on my videos. Can you guys please do me a favor and smash that thumbs up button so I can stop looking like a J-Brone, please? Appreciate it. Let's get into WWE Raw for tonight. So this I liked. They announced the weigh-in segment for Lashley and Brock. So I was mildly curious in that. I'm like, oh, cool, a weigh-in. That's kind of fitting. These guys are legitimate fucking fighters. I'd like to see a shoot fight between these two guys, to be honest. So they got this big weigh-in. There's this huge cartoony, obnoxious fucking scale in the ring, but it looks like a real scale. And Lashley and MVP come out first, followed by Cowboy Brock Lesnar. Oh my God. He is out there in the flannel. He's got the cowboy hat now, which is a new addition. And I am loving this new look Brock Lesnar. He looked fantastic. I was waiting for him to say cowboy shit on the mic. But he comes out, he's slapping hands with the fans, and he's got that cut-off flannel. He looks like a badass. They are now selling the Brock Lesnar blue flannel on WWE Shop. You can pick up your own shirt right now. I made a comment on Twitter tonight that if Mick Foley was Ric Flair, he'd have a huge problem with this and probably demand a cut like the cheap, broken down, bleached blonde Space Mountain asshole that he is. But Mick Foley's not like that. Mick Foley wouldn't give a shit because Mick Foley's cool. And Brock Lesnar looked awesome in that getup, but he was wearing a ton of clothes. This is a weigh-in. He's got jeans, a shirt, a heavy flannel jacket, a cowboy hat, and boots and all this other stuff, and he's showing up to a weigh-in. Bobby is dressed a little better for the occasion, but what I liked about this segment was not only how badass Brock Lesnar looked, but that this thing was under 10 minutes long. It finished at 10 minutes past the hour. So if you factor in entrances and the opening bullshit, it was under 10 minutes long, this whole segment. Sometimes opening segments can go 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Back in the Attitude Era, it would be 40 past the hour before you got your first match, after all that Austin McMahon shit went down in the ring to open the show, usually back in Raw is War days. So the fact that they got this done, it was kind of no nonsense. Both guys said a few words. Lashley, of course, said he's going to beat you. I'm going to beat you for the title or whatnot. Brock shits on Lashley some more and says, okay, you're going to beat me, huh? So that means I'm going to hear your new WWE champion, Bobby Who, and then walks away. So when you think about how they've built this so far, the match between Brock and Lashley is awesome. It's a dream match we finally get, but I think they could have done a little bit better with some of the build here because nothing that they've done so far has really benefited in any way Bobby Lashley. So that makes me wonder if Lashley does. We've talked about Lashley having a legitimate chance to beat Brock for the title, especially if you do something like Roman Reigns costing Brock the title, or the Paul Heyman turn that I think a lot of us are expecting, because Paul Heyman is running around with Brock Lesnar. That's kind of weird. Something's up there. So based on how this whole thing is booked, I'm kind of hoping at this point that Lashley actually does win, because if not, it ain't going to do him any favors at all to not only be buried in the build and then just go out there and get F5'd and pinned in the middle at the Royal Rumble. I don't want that. So I don't know what they're going to do, but based on how they've set this whole match up, I think Lashley either has to find a way to win, maybe with some help, like I said, from a Paul Heyman or Roman Reigns, or he has to put up the fight of his life and give that Chris Benoit effort that Benoit had against Angle at the Royal Rumble in 2003, an effort like that to where he takes Brock to the limit, where he has Brock beat, but there's no referee, that type of thing. And then Brock wins, just barely and escapes with the title when he should have lost it. That's the only type of loss for Lashley I think I would even consider accepting at this point, based on how the build has gone. So, by the way, the weigh-in, Lashley came in at 273, and he was ready. He had just had his gear basically in his boots and his shirt off. Brock took off his cowboy hat, but that was it. And he weighed in at 286 pounds. So he's got a 13-pound weight advantage on Lashley, but I'd say 5 of those pounds was clothes, maybe even a couple more, but he still outweighed Lashley. Even without the clothes, he would have. And match on Saturday. I'm ready for it. I just hope the only thing I ask for is like what I said a minute ago, is that it's not an F5 and a Bobby Lashley pinfall in the middle. I don't want to see Lashley beat like that. If you got to beat him because you got to set up your Roman Brock Mania match, fine, but just at least, make him look as strong as possible doing that. But I think there's an equally good chance that Lashley could win the title with a little bit of help or shenanigans. So it depends on where that match is placed on the card, where they put it, if it opens the show. A world championship match, think about this. A world championship match is going to have to open the Royal Rumble, I would think. You got 3 of them, and the only other match on the card that's not a title match is that mixed tag. I guess you could open with that if you wanted. But other than that, is there anything else on the undercard? Oh, I got to look. I've got the card pulled up here. So this match could open. You could see, and that could set something up for what they do later. I don't know if the men's Royal Rumble match is going to be the main event, or if Roman and Seth is going to be the main event. It just depends. If they knock out both Royal Rumble matches early and they're saving a world title match for the main event, look for a title change. That should be your indicator that they're going to do a title switch, because if they weren't, I don't think they would do it in the main event. They would let the Royal Rumble winner have that moment. But if they have a big title change plan, if they're going to end Roman Reigns' 500-plus day streak, then that should be in the main event. And Seth should celebrate to close the show with the title, maybe after a little bit of help from Brock Lesnar. That would be funny. If let's say Brock retains somehow against Lashley, and then he comes out and like helps Seth Rollins beat Roman Reigns for the title, and then the show goes off the air with Brock and Seth retreating together, smiling in the entranceway, both with their championships after their history. I don't know, might be a fun visual. So yeah, there's options there, but I always preach that with pay-per-views. Match placement is important. So if it looks like we're going to get those Rumble matches and they're going to have either title match in the main event, you're getting a change. Fucking guarantee it. After the weigh-in, we had a one-on-one match between Bianca Belair and Zelina Vega. Boy, I'll tell you what, if there's one time I'm okay with a champion being pinned, this is it. If anything, she should have been pinned quicker. Bianca gave little teeny weeny Zelina a little bit of a match there. I thought Bianca would have her beat in 10 fucking seconds. It took about 4 minutes, but she got it done. Hit Zelina with the KOD and got the win. And like I said, I think Ronda Rousey is the only thing standing in Bianca's way of winning the title again at WrestleMania. So we'll have to see what happens. After that, we get another one-on-one match between Kevin Owens and Damian Priest. This one is for the United States title. Kevin Owens got a victory last week. Priest was interviewed backstage about these rage issues. I do not like this. I like Damian Priest a lot, but I honestly kind of liked him more when he was with Bad Bunny. This rage thing that he's doing is not doing it for me. And it seemed like he got this edge or this attitude as soon as he started wearing the eyeliner. Did you notice that? As soon as he started wearing that shit, he started freaking out. Maybe there's a chemical in there that's seeping into his bloodstream and making him freak out. I think he needs to lose the eyeliner, and maybe he'll lose the edge. But they're basically trying to make the story that he can't control his rage or his anger, and he snaps and goes nuts and gets himself disqualified. So last week, he actually lost to Kevin Owens. So that set up the match that was actually for the title here. And they did the deal. You could feel it. Like, you could feel that they were probably going to do this with him. And he loses his cool. He gets overzealous in the corner. He starts beating down Kevin Owens, and the referee calls for the bell, DQs Damian Priest, and Owens gets another victory. So that should lead to a third match here between these guys for the title. Kevin Owens might even take the belt from him. Who knows? But I guess Priest has never been beaten really or pinned, but he's been DQ'd like 5 or 6 times since late last year. So just not a fan of like what they're trying. He doesn't come off as somebody that just really has a ton of rage, even though he is a big, menacing looking guy. I don't think the character direction they're going with him is really him. I don't know. It's not sticking with me. So I liked him more before. After that, oh my God, what a worthless match this was. The most worthless match in recent memory took place on Raw. 6-woman tag, Dana Brooke, Rhea Ripley, and Liv Morgan taking on Carmella, Nikki ASH, and Tamina. This match lasted about 3 minutes, and Rhea Ripley beat Carmella for the win there. That was it. Everybody made individual entrances and did their little routines and their poses. They all cut a quick little promo behind the scenes as well. But what was the point of the match? You had all 6 of these women go through, like I said, 12 total hours, probably 2 hours each of hair and makeup. So you're wasting 12 hours of hair and makeup on these women that went out there and wrestled for 3 minutes when you could have just not done this segment at all and saved yourself some time. But 6-woman match, if you're going to do it, great. Give these women TV time. They're all great in their own right. I like them all. But if you're going to give them a 3-minute match, what's the point? Give them something more, or make this match mean something. It's just a thrown together, or we're just going to do this tonight. Throw these 6 women in the ring and wrestle for 4 minutes. It's not, nobody cares because nobody gives a shit really who wins or loses any of this. So after Rhea Ripley beats Carmella, Nikki ASH nails Rhea Ripley from behind and then runs away. So Nikki and Rhea Ripley still have their issue. One of them will throw the other one out of the Royal Rumble. 100% guaranteed. And I'll go you one further. I bet you they will come in the ring one after the other, or very, very, very close together. It'll be like Nikki, then somebody, then Rhea, or Rhea, then somebody, then Nikki, or Rhea, then Nikki right away. Mark my words. They always do that shit with tag teams in the Royal Rumble. After that, we had the Academic Challenge. New tag team champions, Alpha Academy, challenging RK Bro to an academic contest, and it was going to be a spelling bee. So they're out there with the podiums. They're ready to start spelling shit. Randy Orton, the Viper, Orton, is in a spelling bee on Monday Night Raw. I would repeat that, but I'm afraid I'll throw up. No, I'm kidding. It was actually a pretty good segment, and I like that Orton can... because he's been gnarly in his career, man. He's had some super crazy feuds, very intense feuds. And I think that for him to take a step back and do something a little bit more lighthearted and do the stuff with Riddle is fantastic. And it feels like, I don't know how we're not going to get Riddle and Orton against each other at WrestleMania. So it feels like they're dragging this out with the Alpha Academy. And in the end, Academy's going to keep the titles and RK Bro is going to implode or explode at WrestleMania. That's kind of what I'm hoping happens here. But until then, there's going to be a lot of shenanigans going on between these two teams. So they're out there. They're ready for spelling. Otis is up first. He gets the word Emmental, which he spells wrong, but they give it to him and say he spells right. So he gets his first word right, which is weird because Otis is an idiot. And then it's Riddle's turn, and his word is calibration. So Otis and Riddle get both of their words right and spell them correctly. Gable is up next, and his word is disillusion. And they offer to give him the definition, and he's like, I don't need it. By the way, Gable's fantastic. He was cutting a promo before this. I've always liked him. I don't understand why this guy is not already main eventing pay-per-views. It's not like he's got good in-ring ability, but he lacks charisma or mic skills. He has all of that. He's very good on the mic, very comfortable on the mic. I love his shush thing, cracks me up. He's maybe not quite Kurt Angle on the mic, because Kurt was very good, but Gable's great, and there's no excuse whatsoever for his lack of pushes. And even though what he's doing now is silly, at least it's something. At least it's not Shorty G. And, hopefully maybe it's a way for him to get a little bit noticed here and have the company maybe do a little bit more with him once his partnership with Otis inevitably implodes, probably sometime in 2022 as well. But Gable's fantastic. His word is disillusion, and because he's a 4.0 GPA and he's so smart, he doesn't need the definition. He doesn't need the language of origin. He doesn't need them to use it in a sentence. He knows how to spell it, and of course, he spells it wrong because the word was disillusion, not disillusion. And he got the two of them confused. He spelled the wrong one. He got it wrong. And then Randy Orton is now set up to win, and his word is dumbbell. Apparently, it's one of the most often misspelled words in the English language because I guess there's two B's in there. Randy Orton knew that. D-U-M-B-B-E-L-L. He nailed it, got the word right. RK Bro wins the spelling bee over Alpha Academy. Yes, that's actually something that happened on Raw. But something even better came out of this very fun segment that I didn't hate at all. We got a hell of a match out of it. After this was over, went to commercial, come back. We've got Chad Gable versus Randy Orton, and it was a spectacular TV match. So fun. Gable is stupidly good. Randy Orton gave him a great match. This was not a squash by any means. This was not a quick match where Orton had his way with him, hit him with an RKO and beat him. Gable took him to the limit. Gable was hitting good moves. Gable is the fucking man in the end. Randy Orton, of course, wins with the RK Bro, but Gable just keeps doing everything right and sells the RKO as well as anybody I can think of. I mean, it's different than the Seth Rollins sell, where he went so high in the air. But you saw it, he basically comes down with the RKO and Gable lands right on his head and then flips completely over and winds up landing on his back. He basically did a complete front flip in the RKO, and it didn't even look stupid. It looked really good and just great spot. Loved it. So Randy Orton gets the win. Excellent match. Great outing and a losing effort for Chad Gable. I love to see that. And, by the way, and apparently next week, the shenanigans will continue. And we're going to get a scooter race. So Riddle's going to provide the scooters, and they're all going to race some fucking scooters. So we'll see what happens next week on Raw. Next week, we will have our Royal Rumble winners. And who do you think is going to go into Raw with the title next week? My God. We had more Alexa Bliss therapy after that. Just rambling. She's rambling on about Lily, and then it just fades to black. And then we are backstage again with Vince McMahon and Austin Theory. So Vince and Austin have been doing this shit every week. They are tarnishing the legacy of Austin and McMahon segments. They really are, because these are so weird. So Vince makes a match between Austin Theory and AJ Styles, and Vince says, go out there and beat him and bring me back a selfie, he says, because Austin's got a lot of selfies with guys. So we go to the ring, we get AJ Styles and Austin. AJ beats him, wins with a phenomenal forearm in another great match. So back-to-back outings here. Gable and Orton and Theory and AJ, both tremendous matches, both fun matches, and both losers were impressive. Gable and Theory had outstanding losing efforts, hard-fought battles there where they both looked good, even with the loss. And seeing that on Raw, or seeing that in WWE and seeing it in back-to-back matches is not something that really happens a lot. So I thought that was great. And Austin Theory, I think he's good. He does impress me a lot. I think he's got a lot of that potential. That must be what Vince thinks. That's why he's so hands-on with him, not only in his character, but obviously behind the scenes too. Vince Vince behind the scenes must have said, hey, I think my character should work with this guy, or he wants to personally help develop him. And hey, in 25 years, if Austin Theory turns out to be a huge megastar and he goes into the Hall of Fame, he should give a nod to not only Vince, because by then Vince will probably be dead, give a nod to Vince and give a nod to AJ Styles and Finn Balor, because this kid's working with some terrific vets. And these veterans, he's in there in good hands, basically, and he's getting a lot of these reps and a lot of these matches with some highly skilled veterans, and that's something that's going to benefit Austin Theory as he goes through his career. So I thought AJ and Austin was very good. Becky and Doudrop interview was up next. Split screen deal. Didn't listen to a word. Got up. That was my cue to get ready for the stream. So I'm up. I'm moving shit around, turning my lights on, and tuning them out. Have no idea what either one of them said because I don't care. And they got a title match this Saturday at the Royal Rumble. Tag team match was our last match of the show. Street Profits taking on the Mysterios. Rey Mysterio got a quick pin over Montez Ford for the victory there for the family. And at the end, I think it was Rey that tossed out Dominic. They all started tossing each other over the top rope at the end of it, was kind of the deal there. And Montez continues to impress with his out-of-this-world athleticism, soaring over the top rope at one point, doing some Superman pose as he glided ever so gracefully through the air. The dude is not of this planet. Unbelievable how awesome Montez Ford is. If they ever split him off from Dawkins, I think they should bring Tucker back and have Dawkins and Tucker form like a disgruntled team. And who knows, maybe you can have, maybe that could be the next New Age Outlaws. Just take a couple of cast-offs like Billy Gunn and the Roadie who weren't doing jack shit, stick them together and see if you can make some salad. So maybe they should bring him back once the inevitable split happens with Montez and he goes singles, because he may be, very lanky, very skinny, very small, but he can fucking fly, man. Jesus, that guy is unbelievably impressive. So that leaves us with, of course, the birthday party, the highly predictable birthday party for Maurice, thrown by The Miz. This is the main event. Of course, last week, Miz and Maurice got the better of Edge and Beth using the brick in the purse. Oh, no, and I've got a cat puking. Don't puke on my cord. He's going to throw up right on my microphone cord. Put a bowl under his... Come on, get it out, buddy. Ooh, right in the bowl. Whew. How about some real time? Oh, you can't see it, but it's in the bowl. Oh, he's doing it again. Okay, I got a throwing up cat underneath me. But anyway, he's fine. It's not the cat that was at the vet today. It's the other one. Sometimes they just throw up. But hey, I caught it in a little paper bowl, so we are safe. Ooh, and it stinks. But anyway, last week, like I said, Beth and Edge got hit with the brick, so they're pissed. You knew they're going to be coming out here and doing something in this birthday party. So I'm like, what are they going to do? And as soon as I saw the ring set up, I see the big box and I also see the table. So I was like, ooh, I like what they're doing, because not even WWE can just be this creatively lazy. If Beth is in the box and Edge is under the table, I'm going to be very disappointed. What they need to do is make the fans think that Edge is under the table and Beth is in the box or whatever. So that's what they did. Miz and Maurice have security guarding the ring while Maurice opens her present. First one is some painting of her and the Miz. They look like idiots. And then she opens some more presents. She goes, I want to open the big one. And Miz is like, I thought the big one was, you brought that because I didn't put it here or whatever, and trying to play it off. And I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. Luckily, that's not the direction they're going. And then Miz opens it up, the big box, or Maurice opens up the big box to reveal that it's just a brick on a little perch or a little pedestal. It's the brick that they used to hurt Beth Phoenix last week. So they laugh at the audience. God, we got you. They didn't get us that good, but they still got us, or they still got the audience, because I just would have hated if they would have came out of that box, and nothing was really going to surprise me. We knew we were going to see Edge and Beth Phoenix. There's no way we were not going to see Edge and Beth Phoenix. So, in my mind, the only thing that would have surprised me is if Rusev jumped out of one of those boxes. But you knew you were going to see Edge and Beth. You just didn't know how they were going to come out there, but they just came out there. Music hits. They stormed to the ring. They both looked pissed. Beth just looked phenomenal. She dressed like Jeff Jarrett kind of at the GCW show last night. She's got her guns out. She looks mad. And they basically fight their way through security and into the ring. And they tear shit up and scare Miz and Maurice away. And I think they beat up all the security guards. Did they get their hands on them physically? I think they did. So big scuffle, and of course the party was crashed. By then, I'm just eyeball. I see the commotion, but I'm not really watching because I'm getting ready for the stream. So they crashed the party. They got the last laugh. And of course, we've got that mixed tag at the Royal Rumble on Saturday. So let me just pull up that card and make sure nothing has changed. I had it over here and I lost it. In terms of the Rumble, there we go. Where is it? There we go. So, yeah, still the same amount of matches. Yeah, so look at what we got here. We got the 2 Rumble matches, but the undercard is only 4 matches. 3 of them are championship matches. So you got to open with one. Oh, yeah, and the Usos are barred from ringside on SmackDown. Seth and Owens, I believe, beat the Usos. The stip was if they won, Usos are banned from the ring in the Rollins-Roman championship match on Saturday. So that's cool. Roman looked a bit concerned about that. He should be. I like Seth Rollins. I'd have no issue for the people who say, oh, Seth should win the title. Sure. I like Seth Rollins. At least he's starting to come around, hopefully, for a lot of fans. I've never not liked Seth Rollins, but, there was times where, he was getting a little stale or failing to connect and, maybe saying a couple things on social media that was harming him in terms of, the fans' admiration for him. But he's really turned a corner, just like Roman did. You just give a guy the right shit, man. They can make it work. And Roman, compared to the fans booing him out of the building and saying, "We hate," and chanting, "We hate you," he's the hottest thing and the hottest act in wrestling. And Seth has made an incredible turnaround. And he's almost been more of a tweener in this whole situation, because even though he's an obnoxious heel, he's entertaining like a face. So it's all been fun. Royal Rumble's looking good. I ain't going to lie. I think the field for the men anyway in the Royal Rumble should be pretty fun. The women's match is going to be a mess. Becky and Doudrop, I'm not expecting anything out of them substantial. Becky will win that. I'm assuming Edge and Beth will win the mixed tag, although the way they got the last laugh tonight, I suppose Maurice and Miz could pull off an upset, and then you do you wouldn't do a rematch in Crown Jewel. It's hard enough, to get a women's match pulled off over there. But if you start putting men in there with them, I don't know. But if it's a mixed tag, it shouldn't matter because they're not intermingling. So you could have, I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, actually. You did Miz and Maurice winning at the Rumble, Edge and Beth winning the blow-off at Crown Jewel. But then again, that doesn't leave much time for Edge to develop anything for WrestleMania. Edge would have to do that, finish up with Miz and Maurice in Saudi Arabia, come home to TV in time to start a program with AJ or somebody like that to go into WrestleMania. A lot of people have AJ and Edge kind of in the back of their heads for WrestleMania. I'm cool with that. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. And that's what we're looking at for WrestleMania. Austin Theory, dark horse for Money in the Bank? Yeah, JJ, I think so. Happy Lesnar scares me. He scares me too, Max. My God, that dude is nuts. Good to see everybody else who poking in here from earlier. Jose, Story of John and Naveed, and some of the other new ones that have been coming in as I was talking here. But we are pretty much wrapping it up. We are going to be done here for the night. Just want to come up here and do a quick podcast, catch up on a few things, and talk to y'all for a bit. So don't forget, we're going to be back on Wednesday for Dynamite, Thursday, Royal Rumble predictions, and then Saturday night after Royal Rumble, full show review. So stay tuned, subscribe, and all that good stuff. You guys have a good rest of your Monday night, and I will catch you Wednesday night for Dynamite. Y'all be good. Peace.